Welcome to the Library Connection. I'm Tracey Thomas, Director at the B.B. Comer Library, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today because we're going to be talking about one of the longest running, most beloved adult programs that we do at the B.B. Comer Memorial Library, the Adult Brown Bag Series, which is sponsored by First Bank of Alabama, and we want to thank them also for being the wonderful sponsor for this Library Connection show. We also want to thank TV 47 for the many, many years of service they've given us and the platform they give us each week to share about wonderful things going on at the library like we're going to talk about today. So with that said, I want to introduce Dr. Shirley Spears, who needs no introduction. But Dr. Spears, thank you so much for being with us today. And I got tickled when I was getting ready to prepare for the show. I thought, I know we only do this twice a year, but it feels like we do this over and over again.
Seems so hard to get up that early and paint up early in the morning like this. It is just twice a year, though. I appreciate the opportunity, Tracey.
Well, thank you for all the work. And for those of you that may not realize it, Dr. Shirley Spears was our library director at the Comer Library for 33 years, over 33 years. And she did a wonderful thing for our library and left a wonderful legacy with our Brown Bag Series. And I always like to tell just a little bit of the history about it so people will understand that this is not just something that you plan every year. This is a program that you have built on through the years because
Exactly.
We do have relationships. You and I have talked about this. We have relationships with colleges and universities and especially some of the great scholars, and that's due to you keeping in touch with them through the years and always planning something so wonderful. So with that, we are getting ready to do Looking Forward to the Past. It's the Adult Brown Bag Lecture Series, again sponsored by First Bank of Alabama. And we'll be kicking off on that real soon on Wednesday of this week. But I want to give you just a minute to talk about the history behind it and how you got the idea to start this.
Well, when I came to the library, of course, there was nothing of this sort going on all the way across the state. But speaking of the universities, they need us also. Mm-hmm. They need a way to get out in the community. I'm sure it impacts on their fundraising and their support, their private support and all of that. But they like going out, and the outreach universities like the land-grant colleges like Auburn University put a lot of effort into that. So at that time, there was a program going on at the library, and I think it maybe was about the second one that they had ever had of any close to this time, and it was a Shakespeare study. And so we had some scholars come in, and I've just gotten there, and you know, I was real impressed because we had about 25 or 30 adults come out for that. And I saw the look on their face when they sat in those little programs. They brought in maybe 3. And then we went to a play. We went to see Macbeth in Anniston because the Shakespeare Theater at that time was in Anniston. And so we went up to Anniston and I just thought, well, you know, the adults, gosh, people talk all the time. There's nothing to do for kids in Sylacauga, nothing to do for kids. I see a lot of organized things in the churches and people trying hard to, you know, help the kids. But the adults, and I thought, just churches, nothing much going on. So looking at those people coming into that little setting there, I thought, well, you know, it might be nice if we could do something like that later. So anyway, that was the thinking stages of it. And then we got to know the people at the Center for the Arts and Humanities at Auburn University in a more real way. I went on their advisory board or something. And they had Lee Rawls Atkins, who's one of the great historians that's dead now and passed on, and then Jay Lamar, who's still very much involved in that world, and although she's not at Auburn anymore. So we just kind of got started trying some things. When we started packing the little room upstairs out with 90 people sitting in a little room, it helped us with the public to know that hey, we need a place to have these programs. And so there was the sort of the germ for building an auditorium and trying to have things for the adult public as well as our beloved children and our youth and our teens and all that. So it kind of started as an idea and the recognition of the fact there wasn't a whole lot of the cultural arts, historical study thing for adults in Sylacauga, so we started trying it. And I'd been a school librarian for 12 years and I didn't know any better than to try whatever might work. And so anyway, I think a lot of the credit goes to just plain jumping out there and trying. You're still doing the same thing. You just jump out there and try something that you think might work and something that might help you, the public, to recognize how important and helpful the library is. And so I think it has been really good for us. We have people in the library, that's the only way we would have ever gotten them there. So it turned out to be good. It turned out to be good for the program, and it turned out to be good for the people because they need to know some of their history. And especially people that move in here, we'd like for them to know some of their local history. So it's been a blessing, and it's been one of the things that set us apart, and we're kind of the pioneers on it. We found out too that noon was a good time to do it because a lot of husband and wives come, and you know, you've got time to get up and get your things kind of taken care of, and you're going to eat lunch. So you can just come down and bring a sandwich, and we got cookies and water and everything. So that plan turned out good, I think. You tie a little food to it. Yeah, I believe in food.
I think too, through the years, I think we have demonstrated that we want to keep that program fresh, and I think COVID kind of threw us a lick with you know, not being able to serve a lot of food and that sort of thing. So we just kind of recreated ourselves into an environment that we felt like would be a safe venue for the public, feel comfortable about coming out. And so we shortened the number of programs. It's a 5-part series now. It runs for 5 weeks. And we do encourage people to bring a sack lunch with them when they come out. And the Coast Valley Medical Center's Hickory Street Cafe has been such a good partner too. They bake fresh baked cookies. They're all individually wrapped. They're very
really
good. And we give bottled water and cookies, and people can come. The room will open at 11 o'clock, and there's tables in there. They can visit with their neighbors and enjoy their sack lunch, and then the program starts at 12. So we have found that it's just also a really, really good social time for people as well.
I think they enjoy the tables.
I think they do.
If you sit a while and you enjoy yourself and you've got a drink in front of you or something, it's nice to have tables, and that's been a good touch. And then after COVID, our numbers went down some, and with people not getting out as much. So we had more room to use the table concept, and I think it's worked really well. I think that we've made some improvements in it since you've been at the library, a great many.
I think you constantly have to recreate yourself.
You do. I think you do.
So one of the things we want to talk about this morning is our kickoff program, and we always like to start off with something very upbeat, and music usually seems to be universal.
I think music just puts everybody in a good mood, and it gets that first group out. It's what's really important, because people will come out for music. And then once if they hadn't been, they see what it's like and they like it. And if they've been coming, it's like they're getting back in the groove. So it works, kickoff works with music, it really does. And just make it a fun time, and hey, we're getting started on something. Then you can ease in these real serious things on them and make them know why we're who we are, and you know, why that we think like we do. And you can get a little bit more serious with your history and literature and that kind of thing and slide it in. But I think it's important to have fun for adults too.
I think so too. Well, we will kick off with our music on this Wednesday, February the 4th, and we will have a fun group. Mr. Roger Vines, who's always a lot of fun. We'll have Miss Tina Hosey, and we'll have Mr. Terry Robbins. And those are familiar faces in our music scene and to our audience in particular. But Mr. Roger Vines has kind of taken the lead on this and put this group together for us. And I think he's real excited about the theme. He says, you know, looking forward to the past. There's a lot of songs that translate into that. So we're looking forward to having them come out. And if you like good music, join us for that.
Well, he talks about, you know, they're revisiting nostalgic tunes, and Roger's just great with even his local songs that he's written. And Tina's a wonderful singer, and she's famous for her Patsy Cline.
Absolutely.
And Terry Robbins is famous for Merle Haggard. They're just good singers. Yeah. They really are. All three of them are really good, and they're fun, and just, I think it's going to be wonderful. I'm really looking forward to it.
We are too.
I like fun too.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got some more great programs to share with you.
Remember your first car? The butterflies you had on your first date? Or your first home? Remember his first steps? Or his first day of school? Remember the thrill of opening your first business? For every milestone, every memory, every first, think First Bank of Alabama.
At Jacksonville State University, the journey starts with you. It begins with your ambition, your curiosity, your dreams. Here, you forge your own path. You have the power to make a difference, explore new horizons, and turn your passions into your future. At Jax State, we journey forward together. The journey starts with you.
Welcome back to the Library Connection. I'm Tracey Thomas, Director at the Comer Library, and today we're talking with Dr. Shirley Spears. Dr. Shirley Spears still works with the B.B. Comer Memorial Library Foundation, and she helps plan some fantastic programs for our Adult Brown Bag Lecture Series, which is sponsored by First Bank of Alabama and also the sponsor of the Library Connection TV show. So we're very appreciative of what they do for us. And Dr. Spears, we've just talked about the first program, which kicks off this Wednesday, February the 4th, and then the next one will be Wednesday, February the 11th with Ruth Cook, who is also a very familiar face to the Comer Library.
She really is, and Ruth has proven herself for us. She's done so many wonderful programs. She has historical fiction. She has our marble book that she researched for about 10 years and published for us, and she's got wonderful stories. But every once in a while, Ruth she likes to look at, she's from Ohio, and she is involved in looking at Alabama, I think, in a different way from what we do. And so she did superstitions, for us one time not too long ago, and people enjoyed it and shared superstitions, and we talked about the ones that are familiar to us, and we're astonished that we are superstitious. But she's looking at the name of Alabama towns with this one. And as you know, there really are some weird names out there for towns. And so I think with her, having lived somewhere else most of her life and then coming in, she's been here, of course, now probably 40 years. But the thing about Ruth, she's about my age. But the thing about Ruth is, I'm sure that it's more astonishing to her than it is to us because we've heard some of them so many times. But I think she'll do a good job with that, and I think people will have the opportunity to bring some to her attention that she probably doesn't know about or hadn't thought about. So, Tales of Alabama Town Names is what she's bringing to us, and I always think that when she works to put something together, and she does, she's retired, so she'll come up with an idea and then she'll go all over the state. She'll go to churches and to study clubs and to programs like ours, take her idea out and present it, and so she's really been good for our Marble Festival and our sculpture and our collection, because she carries that tale to this day. She carries that tale all over the state about the marble in Sylacauga.
Ms. Ruth is a wonderful ambassador for Sylacauga
really
and the library.
She really is. And I love having her. I never worry about a program if Ruth's doing it.
One of the things that Dr. Spears just mentioned is the audience would probably have some new names and things that they might share with her, and I think that's a really important part of the programming that we do is the interaction that the audience is able to have with the presenter. We've seen people stay for an hour after those programs talking to those presenters because maybe they have some personal insight into the topic. The aviation program we did that time, there were people there that knew somebody that had participated in it, and they always seem to provide another level of insight to the presenter, and I think that's wonderful that we have the opportunity for that exchange.
I think the presenters get a lot out of that. They probably learn stuff that they didn't find in the paper records that they looked at or the places they researched. So our audience does bring a wonderful element to the program. They sure do.
Well, and then the program that we have on February the 18th will be, this is a first timer for us, with a special connection to the library, and this will be Katie Lamar Jackson doing the program, and you mentioned Jay Lamar earlier, and so I think this is a great way to tie her to the success of our programs.
Katie's been around for a while, and I was kind of aware of her, but I didn't really realize the potential that she probably had to do programs. I knew Jay was wonderful, and she's one of the reasons that we have the library that we have. She's been so supportive and such a mentor for us for so many years with the universities. But her sister, Katie, and she has spent about 4 decades as a journalist and an author, and she's done publications. She's done all kinds of things. But the time that I became very aware of her is she was featured on the cover of the Auburn magazine. I meant to bring it today to show it to you. But she brought acoustic music to Auburn through the Universal Church there.
Okay.
And she and her husband worked on that for years and years and years. Was called Strum and Rattle, or I can't remember exactly what the weird name of it was, but they had a program, so she's kind of noted for doing that. So she's a multifaceted person, and she got to know about a veteran of the Vietnam War that lived there in Opelika. His name was Benny Atkins. And they had gotten pinned down in 1966 in March. He was with a group of soldiers. They were in the jungles, got pinned down there. It was 40 hours later that they managed to walk out of that jungle, and he's a real hero. They used some kind of tiger that helped them. It was just a wonderful story of survival, a Vietnam War story. So Katie found out about the story, and she spent a lot of time with him before he died. And he gave her the information for the book that she wrote, and the book is A Tiger Among Us, a story of valor in Vietnam's Shaw Valley. And so I noticed last year that she had that story and that she was doing it, and kind of followed that idea of having her here. And finally this year I decided that it probably was a good time that she had done it at Archives and History and gotten on the road a good bit with the story. So I think that she will be really well prepared and interesting, and to bring her story to Sylacauga. And of course Jay's just thrilled. She'll be with her. She'll come with her sister. So anyway, we're so lucky to have people like that to come in for us, and to think about her being able to sit down with Benny Atkins and talk to him and get the story firsthand, and then write a book about it that I think has really, really helped to make her reputation even further. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I believe we'll really have a lot of guys come out for that.
Yeah.
And the Vietnam War is an interesting war, one that's been, neglected in many ways in terms of telling the good stories about it. So I think it'll be good for us all to sit down and listen to a story of bravery in battle and in life.
And those are the kind of stories, Mr. Atkins, aren't we so thankful that those stories fell on the right ears so that somebody could record it and write it?
Absolutely, and it's interesting to think about the ones that have been lost that we
Absolutely.
could have had firsthand. So I really appreciate the idea of Katie Lamar Jackson and the life that she's lived, and the way that she's preserved stories for us through journalism and through writing and publishing books, that kind of thing. So I just feel lucky to have her. She's a beautiful girl, and I think she's a beautiful lady, and I think that she will do a good job for us. I think it'll be very interesting.
One of the things, Jay Lamar, Katie's sister, when the bicentennial was being held, and Alabama had their bicentennial, and Jay was working very closely with that organization, she was one of the ones that encouraged us to do a program. We wrote a grant, and the library did some programming where we actually video recorded interviews with what we considered our local heroes, and we have some really good ones on video that I'm so thankful we got, but
Yeah.
I'm just saddened that there were some that we had lined up. We had one lined up with a World War II veteran who passed away the next week before we could even make it to the appointment. So just from that experience, I feel the urgency now for people to record stories, and most of all for people to be willing to share their stories.
It is critical, because we do have a generation that's almost gone. And so anyway, I appreciate what the library has done to save the history, because if you remember, one time we did one called End of the Line, and we went back and looked at all the industries and stores and everything around town that had folded and no longer exist. So it's really important to keep things like that and to follow up on it, because if you wait until, think about the people that were that were real movers and shakers in the town. When I came to the library in '83, they're gone. And so I'm so glad that we got stories from a lot of people that now have gone on, because there's a lot of difference in getting something from somebody that was there than it just being handed down. And handed down's good, but it's not as good as the real thing. So I appreciate people like Katie. That was a wonderful thing for her to do.
I think one of the things, just a few weeks ago, we were trying to recall a story, or I can't remember what it was, and I said, we recorded Coach Earl Lewis. We interviewed Earl Lewis through the bicentennial program, and we've got that on video. Let me go back and pull that up.
That's just great.
So it just made me so happy that we did invest the time into writing the grant and doing the program. And of course, we didn't get everybody that we wanted, but if you know somebody that you think would be a great candidate for a program like that, let us know. We'll still be happy to get that video camera out.
Well, we've got a new layer now.
We do.
A new part of history that will be forgotten. And it won't be too long until it will be forgotten, because our young people, a lot of them move away, and They may come back to visit, but never come back to live. And so a lot of the stories are just, they're fading away. And so I just appreciate the new interest that the library has developed in recent years with the memory lab and with all the different ways, and then the digitization project and the platform that you're trying to develop right now. In case you don't wonder why we're out there chasing private money all the time, folks, it's because projects like Tracey's doing right now with digitizing our local newspapers. Yeah. Think about what you're going to be able to do in the schools with digitized local newspapers, because we hadn't been able to let the kids, or not many adults, handle those papers in years. They're so fragile. And look at what you can do with economics and with history and all the subjects that people teach. Now you'll be able to assign a kid to study local history. And so anyway, we've been made so aware of the importance of availability through our scholars and through the fact that we realize that local history really can't be taught unless there's a source.
Absolutely. Well, we want to come right back with a few more programs, a couple more programs that we've got left, and we hope you'll stay with us.
Remember your first car, the butterflies you had on your first date, or your first home? Remember his first steps or his first day of school? Remember the thrill of opening your first business? For every milestone, every memory, every first, think First Bank of Alabama.
The Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center offers the senior citizens in the Sylacauga and surrounding areas lots of fantastic activities throughout the week. Sewing, ladies bridge, quilting, game-o-rama, ceramic classes, bingo, travel club, and lots more. It's all at the Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center located next to the J. Craig Smith Community Center in Sylacauga. Don't spend any more time alone. Get out, make new friends, and have fun.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to the Library Connection. I'm Tracey Thomas, Director at B.B. Comer Library, and today we're talking with Dr. Shirley Spears about the First Bank of Alabama Adult Brown Bag Series, which kicks off on Wednesday, February the 4th. And this series is called Looking Forward to the Past, and this theme has been fun to work with. It's opened us up to some different ideas. And Dr. Spears, we've already talked about 3 of the wonderful programs that we have. We got a couple more to talk about. And if you're familiar with the Brown Bag program, you know that we usually like to wrap up with Dolores Hydock. But because of scheduling conflicts, the last series and then this series as well, she's going to be next to the last. So she will be on February the 25th, and she is so much fun. If you've ever been to one of Dolores's programs, you know that there's always something unexpected in her stories.
I'm telling you, in this ragtime, I don't know much about ragtime, but I'm looking forward to learning some things because she has such a fun way of bringing a story that has a lot of meat to it. But anyway, she's doing Castles in there. It's a story of ragtime dancers, social revolutions, and unexpected heroes. And she's going to talk about a couple named Vernon and Irene Castle. And in the description, she says that she gives you very little description. She does not like to give her stories away. But she's entering the shadows of ragtime, the glittery world of fortune and fame, the battlefields of World War I. But anyway, she's going to talk about the fact that the public library was her real hero in this one because she went, this is right down our alley. She went into the archives, and probably in Birmingham Public, I would think, some library that had great archives, and found the stories and the connection with, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and all that fun stuff. So I think it'll be just a wonderful program. I've never seen her do anything that was not extraordinary.
The last time she was with us, I'm not a real fan of fantasy. That's just not a genre that I connect with, and everybody has something they like. And as she started telling her story and she starts talking about a dragon, she starts weaving this dragon in there, and I thought, I'm not going to like this. This is not my... And I was so into that story, and it took her a full hour to tell that story, and she doesn't miss a beat. She knows, it remembers every detail. She remembers every facet of that story, and it's just amazing to watch her because she is theatrical. She does have actress capabilities. She's an actress, and she's just wonderful when she weaves the story together. But I thought, I'm not going to be interested in this story with a dragon in it, but it was a beautiful love story. And I looked around the room, and I saw people around the room just connecting with what she was doing and what she was saying. And it was just beautiful to watch her share that story.
I've never seen her do a better program. I really have not. It was just a wonderful thing. But one thing that I watch, I mean, I get a really big charge out of the audience when she's doing her stories. And the guys, you know, you'll have men liking war and they like sports, and the women like this and whatever. So you've got a mixed bag, and we do have a mixed audience. We have a lot of guys that come. But they are so taken with her. I don't care what she tells. They just love her to death. And they sat there just mesmerized while she told this extraordinary, fantastic story from way back in the days of yore. And when she finished up, one guy said, I believe she has a photographic memory. And I thought, I believe she does too. So she has the most extraordinary knack for bringing a story. You just can see it while she's telling. It's that simple. And but she also has a way of, she is a professional actress. She really is.
We've got about a minute left, and I hate to shortchange her because she's wonderful, but we've got Dr. Alex Colvin coming for the last program on Wednesday, March the 4th.
Alex is a great presenter. She works at Archives and History. She does publications. She does exhibits. She does programs, so you can imagine her being the supervisor of that angle of the state's library, the state's archives. What a wonderful, talented person she is. She is very learned about history, and she's going to talk about the Treaty of 1790 when we had a Creek Indian from here, Alexander McGilvery, and the Secretary of War went to Washington and made a pact with George Washington that's very important to us now, because it took the states out of Indian removal and the things that were going on in this country, placed it with the federal government. That led to the creation of Mississippi and Alabama. She is wonderful. She interned and did her doctorate with Catherine Brown at Auburn. She's the best there is with Indian history. And Alex is so learned. She has done programs for us before. She's a young woman, very attractive and very articulate. You will love her program, and I hope that you will come out to see it and appreciate our audience, our long, long time audience for the Brown Bag.